Hey, what is up guys? So I got an excellent example of using Magispecters. It's a new archetype, and originally they didn't have that many cards. There was like 2 or 3 cards when they first came out, but on the Salvation server they just released the new support, the new Unicorn card, and I feel like this helps out the deck a bunch. Now my opponent, he doesn't know what he's doing. He tried to torrential Magispecters, which is something you don't actually do, but this video is more of an example of how the deck actually should be functioning, because it's a relatively strong deck. Now I don't think it's nearly on the levels of like Ignites or anything that is able to FTK, but it's a very strong deck because all of the cards have immunities. Now we're going to go ahead and break it down later in the video. First off, I just want to share the replay with you guys relatively quick. The guy goes ahead and tries to bust out a Azneyes, but that is stopped by the Magispecter Cyclone. I feel like all of their support cards are basically get rid of your Magispecter card, get rid of one of your opponent's monsters or other cards potentially in the future. But for the most part, you're basically going 1-for-1 in the deck, but because every time you summon the Magispecter, you're going to get a free card, whether you're adding a spell and trap or you're adding a Magispecter card or a Magispecter monster, which obviously is pretty nasty. So the Unicorn over here is such a fantastic card because it lets you get free cards out and it lets you tribute your Magispecter so you can re-get them out if your opponent happens to not do anything to them, because sometimes it actually is better if you let the Magispecter player just keep the cards on the field. Don't actually kill them, because that's actually a mistake that some people make, because what's going to happen is they're going to re-summon themselves, and then on top of that they're going to be able to re-get free advantage. So anyways, let me go ahead and break it down, and I'll kind of explain everything that's kind of going on step by step, and I'll explain every card in the entire archetype. Alright, so there are, well, once we get out the other monsters, we can talk more about them. But I would say there's 3 main monsters in the deck. There's the cat, there's the raccoon, and there's the crow. Now, what happens is when they're normal or special summon, you get to add something. Unfortunately, the Unicorn doesn't have that effect. The Unicorn actually has a different effect, which we'll get into later. So the raccoon lets you add 1 Magispecter monster. The crow lets you add 1 Magispecter spell card. And then there's also the cat over here, which lets you add 1 Magispecter card. So that's either one. The downside with the cat, though, is it only has 100 attacks, so you don't really want to normal summon it. Most of the time you want a pendulum summon in this deck. Again, that's why you don't want to kill them, because they're going to keep on getting their effects over and over. And the flying Kamakiri over here is able to basically get out anything in the deck with the exception of the Unicorn. Now, like I said, that's the basic gist of the archetype. Now, in addition to being able to get free advantage, they all have the effect that cannot be targeted or destroyed by an opponent's card effects, and that basically all of them as of right now, they have that effect, and that's pretty nasty to have a 2300 that is unaffected by other monster effects or spell and trap. Essentially, it's only basically going to be able to be destroyed by battle. That's why I'm playing this card over here. It's called Moon and Mirror Shield. Where is this card? Okay, so here's the card. It's called Moon and Mirror Shield. So if the equipped monster battles an opponent's monster during damage calculation, you just gain 100 over whatever their attack is. So basically, whatever you attack into, you're always going to be 100 over. And then if this face-up card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you pay 500 life points, and you can place it on the top or the bottom of the deck. So it's like, if you really want the card, you can get it back again, because every turn, you're going to be able to keep on summoning Magispecters for free, because they essentially replace themselves, because every time you summon, you're just get free cards. Now, he activates Torrential. I assume he didn't know what Magispecters were, because it's kind of a new thing. There's no one that's really playing this. Everyone's messing around with the new BLS stuff on the Salvation server, which I don't think is that great. I don't think that that deck has much potential, unless, of course, more support comes out for it. Now, he's playing a Azneyes deck. This deck can definitely OTK, especially when you have the ability to attack, multiple times. You can get attacked 3 times. It's absolutely crazy, but this is one of these support cards for it. It's the Magispecter Cyclones. All of their spell and traps are really good too. So this one's a quick play. You get to tribute a win monster, which is basically everything in the archetype. You target 1 monster that my opponent controls, and I get to destroy it. Now, the other support is really good too. Like I said, being able to add all the stuff makes it so you can basically go 1-for-1, but it's like Psych, it's not really 1-for-1, because not only did you get free advantage with your card, but it's going to go face up in the extra deck, so you're able to resummon it out again and again. That's basically what the archetype wants to do. You want to just have these monsters, and it's good in the very beginning if your opponent just attacks you. Granted, as long as they don't OTK you, it's fine if you take some life points early on in the game because you need to kind of build up. It's not a deck that you can just throw everything on board and then you can hope to make it game like within 1 and 2 turns. That doesn't happen too often. Usually it takes 3 to 4 turns to try to establish what you have, or every turn you can kind of just get rid of one monster that your opponent has. A deck like Gladiator Beast, where you basically only have one summon per turn, this deck would absolutely dominate it. It wouldn't have any chance because, well, I mean, granted, that's if they don't happen to have like War Chariot, but if they have War Chariot, I mean, you could just normal summon, okay, War Chariot, okay, Pendulum Summon. You can only have so many War Chariots, you know. But because certain decks only get, you know, one summon per turn, like Boojins can be a deck where pretty much majority of the time you'll get one summon per turn. You can just get rid of that one monster. Obviously, Boojins can be like, oh, you can't target my monster. Lance can kind of counter this deck, but it's not like too many people are main decking it. But this is the other support card that I think is really good. So it's Magispecter Tempest. It's a spell speed 3, so it's a counter trap card. And it's when a monster would be special summoned or a monster effect is activated, you attribute one win spellcaster type monster, negate the special summon or activation if you do destroy that card. So that's actually really strong. It's one of the better cards, and oh, guess what? They're all spellcasters. As of right now, of course. In the future that might change. But I'm also playing Flying Kamakiri, which technically isn't spellcaster, but it floats into it anyways, and it just makes the deck much more consistent. Because sometimes you just need a certain one to get out, and basically you're going to get the free effect to search out anyways after the Kamakiri. But there's also another card that makes the deck pretty good, which is the Storm over here. So Storm is not a quick play. So this one lets you, it's a quick play, this one destroys, this one over here shuffles it into the deck, and then this one negates stuff. And there is also one more card, which one? This one over here. So this one, it's a trap card, and you tribute one win spellcaster type monster, then target one monster opponent controls and banish it. So basically all of the monsters revolve around you getting rid of one of your own cards, with the exception of this one over here. This one, you tribute one, but it gets to negate an activation, so this one is probably a little bit better. I maxed out on this one. The rest, I'm kind of mixing around with numbers. This build isn't complete yet. I'm just kind of trying some stuff out in the archetype. But I really feel like everything in this deck is super good because, again, you're tributing your monsters, but they go back and you're going to resummon them. That actually helps you out because if your opponent doesn't have a monster on board, then more than likely they're not going to be able to kill your monsters. And if they're not killing your monsters, then you can't resummon them. So tributing them actually kind of helps in one sense. And I find these cards to be pretty mediocre. Like, the monsters are relatively weak, with the exception of Unicorn. Unicorn is the new card, and I guess we can kind of continue the replay over here. So he goes ahead and makes those. He can't really do anything because the problem is that I already have one card. Even if he was to say go for like something like Castell and bounce this card back, the problem is I still have these, and then if they die, and well, he doesn't know what the other card I have in my hand is, but if I'm able to recomplete my Pendulum Scale, that I get out the other cards, it doesn't matter if he Castells, because all the cards that I'm getting for free, I can get rid of Castell. Castell's not a problem at all in this against this deck. There's not really a card I think that you can throw out that would really hurt them, other than maybe Skill Drain, but even Skill Drain, your support cards get rid of like monsters anyways, and since you're playing a Pendulum deck, you can kind of just keep on sitting there and stalling if you're playing against a deck that runs Skill Drain, or say something like Lose a Turn. This deck can kind of make use of Lose a Turn anyways. I know Lose a Turn, it makes things go to defense mode, but for the most part, you can kind of, you know, it's kind of like when, you know, you're playing Vanya's Emptiness. You got your cards first, and then you're like, okay, lose a turn, you know. But obviously, you have to control no special monsters, and it's really easy in this deck because you just tribute your stuff, so you control nothing. So it's relatively simple to use that mechanic. And he doesn't have anything at this point. He just goes ahead and summons that, and pretty much is going to be game because I'm going to be using the Unicorn's effect, I think, this turn. So the Unicorn is the strongest one as of right now in the archetype. Now, he is actually at level 6, and the Pendulum Scale, as of right now, I think it probably will change in the future, but a lot of times it's actually decent to tribute for this because you don't want your Magispecters to stay on the field. What you want to do is you want to keep on summoning them over and over, and you want to basically win by using the support spell and traps. That's exactly how you win in this deck. You don't win by attacking them, really. You essentially win by making it so like they don't have any monsters and you poke at them with like small things. You're not going to be overpowering your opponent with like Unicorn, but Unicorn actually has the best effect. Anyways, let's get into its effect finally. Anyways, so its monster effect, during either player's turn, you can target one pendulum monster you control and one monster your opponent controls, return them to the hand. You can only use the effect of Magispecter Unicorn once per turn, and of course it has that same Magispecter effect that it cannot be targeted by or destroyed by an opponent's card effects. So that's really, really strong. I think this card makes the deck so much better because they have a boss monster essentially. Because it's either player's turn, you're able to get rid of a monster, and that's basically what the deck does. You keep on bouncing stuff back to your hand, and then you resummon them, you rependulum, and then you're gonna search out like you saw that I was doing here. I was able to search out like 3-4 cards a turn, and then eventually, it just overwhelms your opponent because it's an advantage deck essentially. But there's no stun to the deck. Unless I guess you can count Moon and Mirror Shield kind of a semi-stun, because everything that your opponent summons, you're always going to be stronger than your opponent, and the Magispecter cannot be targeted or destroyed by an opponent's card effects. So that's really good. You just equip Moon and Mirror Shield, and basically you have kind of a mini unstoppable monster. Obviously they can get rid of this, and then in that case you just pay 500 and you use it next turn anyways. But yeah, that's the intro to the Magispecters, and I think that you guys should definitely look out for the deck. I think that there's going to be much more support, because when I looked at this card, I'm like, okay, it's level 6, but the pendulum scales are 2 and 5 as of right now. All of these cards that are in the Magispecter archetype, their pendulum scales are 2 and 5. So I think that later down the line, we'll get some other stuff. And I'm also playing Azneyes in here, so it helps add consistency to the deck. But the only problem that I have with this deck is really that if you get OTK'd, you can't really do anything about it, and especially if they like negate your summon or something. It's a pendulum-based deck, but a lot of the spell and traps are, again, what run the deck. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Azneyes. Oh, I guess we can play the replay real quick. I think this is just going to be the end. Yeah, this is the end turn right here. So you can see I'm getting all these free effects, and like I can bounce back the card, and then if I I don't know, did I normal summon this turn? I don't remember. I think I might have summoned this card this turn. But yeah, I could re-normal summon the card and then research if I didn't use that specific one's effect that I search out for. But yeah, that's basically Magispecter. It's pretty sweet archetype, and it's kind of unique, I would say, because they're like these small monsters that have like boss monster effects, where it's like you can't be targeted, you can't be destroyed, and then they also get some free searching. So they're like little mini monsters that get really annoying. And again, I mentioned this like 10 times, but the monsters, they don't win you the game. It's basically just the, well, they do by getting you the spell and traps. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Azneyes signing out.